In the late 1960s and early 1970s, a phantom stalked Northern California. He was a killer who didn't just want to murder, he wanted to communicate. This is the story of the Zodiac Killer, a subject of countless books, films, and theories. The identity of this individual remains one of the most frustrating cold cases in American history. What made him unique was his taunting. He didn't just disappear into the night. He announced himself through cryptic letters, ciphers, and threats, forever changing the nature of criminal investigation. The officially confirmed attacks began on the night of December 20, 1968 on Lake Herman Road in Benicia. A second attack followed 6 months later in July 1969 at Blue Rock Springs Park in Vallejo. These first victims were young couples parked in secluded spots. But it was the weeks following the second attack that escalated the killer from a local tragedy to a national threat. On August 1, 1969, 3 newspapers received identical signed letters. The letters contained details about the crimes only the killer would know. Most startlingly, they also contained a cipher, which the killer demanded be published, threatening more attacks if they weren't. This first cipher, known as the 408 cipher, was quickly broken by a schoolteacher and his wife. The message was chilling. It described his motives, though it did not reveal his name. The attacks continued. In September 1969, a couple was attacked at Lake Berryessa, where the killer wore a dark hood with a crosshair symbol on it. The final confirmed attack occurred a month later in San Francisco, involving a cab driver. After this crime, the killer made his final confirmed contact with law enforcement via a call to police. The investigation soon became less about the physical evidence at the scenes and more about the communication the killer was initiating. Over the next several years, the Zodiac sent dozens of letters and cards to newspapers, police, and lawyers. These letters were often filled with threats, philosophical rants, and elaborate, bizarre claims. His ciphers were a central part of his identity. The most famous, the Z340 cipher, was sent in November 1969. It remained unsolved for over 5 decades. In 2020, a team of civilian codebreakers finally announced they had solved the Z340. The message was self-aggrandizing, referencing his desire for slaves in the afterlife, but again offered no name. Investigators focused on several key pieces of forensic evidence: the killer's distinctive handwriting, his shoe size, and fragments of the letters themselves, which provided trace DNA evidence decades later. The DNA evidence, though partial and complex, is one of the most promising avenues for investigators today, allowing them to finally exclude or confirm suspects with scientific certainty. A number of individuals have been named as suspects over the years, both by law enforcement and by private researchers. The most prominent suspect officially investigated for decades was Arthur Lee Allen, a former schoolteacher. Allen matched several witness descriptions, lived in the areas of the attacks, and owned a typewriter and a Zodiac watch. However, crucial evidence, including fingerprint and DNA comparisons, ultimately failed to definitively link him to the crimes. Other notable suspects have been proposed, each with a plausible narrative, but none providing the irrefutable evidence needed for closure. The Zodiac case has become a cottage industry for amateur sleuths and criminologists. The very nature of the case, the communication, the ciphers, invites public participation. While the San Francisco Police Department, the FBI, and other agencies officially designate the case as open, the active nature of the investigation has slowed with the passage of time, though it has never truly ended. The Zodiac Killer's most enduring legacy is the fear he instilled and the way he manipulated media attention to his own ends. He essentially pioneered the concept of the media-savvy serial killer. His success in captivating the public imagination and remaining unidentified set a dangerous precedent for future criminals seeking notoriety. The puzzle pieces, the handwriting, the partial DNA, the solved and unsolved ciphers, all exist. The hope remains that one day, a dedicated investigator or a new technological breakthrough will finally bring the Zodiac Killer out of the shadows and give the victims' families the closure they deserve. Thank you for watching.